And there's the sound to say welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, turning off my phone as not much of the world knows that at 4 o'clock we stay curious with all of you friends out there that we're so appreciative of. Today with Burt Dick. Hello, Burt.
Mark, good to be back.
Bert, I looked at it'll be a year next month that you've done your first Stay Curious
Oh,
program with us.
wow.
I know you've all enjoyed Bert Dick,
Yeah.
as you see at the bottom here, the managing director of the National Space Society membership. What does that mean out
Yeah.
there? Where's my Ad Astra magazine? Uh,
Well, again, the National Space Society, we're a space advocacy organization dedicated to the advancement of space exploration, space development, and space settlement. And we've been around for quite a while. You can trace our history back to Werner von Braun, who formed the National Space Institute, and Gerard O'Neill, who formed the L5 Society. So we have a great organization, a great bunch of members, a lot of great activities dedicated to advancing space.
well, and it's a great magazine. It's a must to be if you're a space geek. So we're hoping that if you're not a member, how can they be a member?
It's very easy to just go onto our website, nss.org, and you can join or reach out to me, and we'll be glad to assist you and even give you a promo to get a discount on your first year membership. And there's our premier magazine called Ad Astra, To the Stars, comes out quarterly. And the editor of that is editor-in-chief is Rod Pyle, the acclaimed space author. So fabulous magazine. That great articles, great photos.
There's Rod in his Esquire mode.
And I think we talked to him about setting up an actual space, an actual Stay Curious, and he's happy to do that sometime. We need to do that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Part of what your friend and mine, Gabriel Rothblatt, our executive director here, is we're going to do a Stay Curious column in Ad Astra.
Oh,
And
great.
yes, I wrote a column for over 20 years every week, and
Right.
we are going to. I'll ask your help
Yeah,
with it too. That's
absolutely.
me have to be the writer, but some part about the world that we live in that
Okay.
take them sort of behind the curtain, maybe.
Sounds good.
We'll do in that. So, yeah, Bert, we love having you on here. Co-hosted for me twice, and I appreciate that. Pinch hit for me when I went on
Glad to
vacation.
do it.
And,
I assume I'm getting my residuals for that.
Yeah, they cut the checks
They cut the check. Okay.
every third quarter,
Okay.
so you need to be waking through the cycle on there.
Sounds
in
good.
there. But yes, no, we appreciate that.
My
And
pleasure. It's
as
fun.
we know, as my duties as the director of the museum have increased, I want to hand off the show to more guest hosts.
Okay.
We're going to get Emily Carney involved in it.
Sounds great.
She's done her own podcast.
Yes.
And you do a pod. Let's just brag about your podcast.
We do a what's called a space forum. It's the NSS Space Forum. It's held on Thursdays from 9 to 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Zoom webinar is what we use. And we have a whole range of guests. This last week, we had Shauna Lovell, who is the acting chief of staff for the Kennedy Space Center.
Okay.
So she gave us a really interesting talk about what the Space Center is doing right now, how they're preparing for the future, and there's a lot going on with creating the right infrastructure and how Kennedy Space Center has gone from a government-run operation to a true spaceport. And it's a really fascinating story.
Uh, well, they can keep up with this on your Facebook page.
We do promote it on our Facebook, Instagram, and also LinkedIn.
All right.
And
good.
and you can see the playbacks are on YouTube, our NSS YouTube channel.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good. Because I'll check that out if you're
Yep.
not live. I've watched a couple of them
Yep.
before. Emily Carney and Bruce McCandless Jr.
Yep.
Talked about their book, Starbound.
We just did that a few weeks
You
ago.
did a great job interviewing them on that. And like I said, we know that you enjoy guests, and we know that you enjoy asking questions, and we're still going to do our shuttles of the month and everything. Don't get alarmed there, but I enjoy that myself. I'd probably do a shuttle of the month of January, kick that off tomorrow. Here on Stay Curious.
And what I do want to do, Mark, is we talked about this as we move closer to Shuttle Fest. I wrote an article a few years ago for the ASME Mechanical Engineering magazine. It was on the history of the space shuttle, how it came to be. The title was called Shuttle Diplomacy, which is very clever. And I'd like to do a session on that as a prep for the Shuttle Fest, if that's okay with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Yes, we'll talk about that for sure on there. Got everybody piling in here. Gary Gerald, I'm sure he gets up at the crack of dawn because he's a Vidalia onion farmer up there in
Oh, okay.
Collins, Georgia. Steve Jokums, thank you, Steve. I brought, what did I do with that? I purposely brought a little something in here.
Anything
And I
here?
set it aside somewhere.
Yeah.
Steve, I got what you sent me, and I brought it in here and set it down. And it's a stargazing decal.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay.
why we go live here. Nah, I may have set it over here, Marty. Anyway, Steve, thank you so much. Mark Thales on there saying hello again. Well, Mitch did make it on time. Hi, Mitch Rothman. He says hello, Burt,
Hey, Mitch.
Marty, and all the friends at ASM. Marky Usiak is
Mark.
in his break room there. Broke
Sounds
away
good.
from the
Hello, Mark.
computer. Say hi. And there's Carlton Bailey. He
And
just
hello,
got his
Carlton.
renewal notice in the email today, taking care of it. So don't.
Okay.
So you're stuck with him for another year. Now
yeah.
you don't review people who apply. You just let anybody in.
We space is for everybody, Mark.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yes.
And
well,
especially
and
Godzilla fans.
And we're bridging the space, right, between Carlton and us. So there's Bob Mayran. Can't wait to meet you, Bob. Hello, everyone. Tommy Usiak. Hello, Bert. I'll be down late next week. Hope we can meet up.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes.
Yeah. And we'll get a meal together somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tom's a carnivore. No, he'll want to go to
okay.
Sonny's.
Sonny's is great.
Yeah, in there. And Doug Forrest, good to see you,
Hey, Doug.
And so we're looking forward to seeing him. And Tom Celentano, he said, I've been enjoying Ad Astra for decades.
Oh, fabulous.
So, and his wife says, when are you going to get him out of the garage so I can put our car in there? If you're a collector like me, Tom, and he's laughing with me. So we're going to hear Burt talk about what's up with Burt. He's a very active influencer representing the National Space Society and Ad Astra. And Marty chose out of your rack of slides this beautiful green screen here. But I also wanted to tease you all. You racked up some of your favorite sci-fi movies.
Yes.
And I pretty much concur with them. I added one. No, that's really that I think surprised you too. But,
Yeah.
have some fun with that and think
Sounds
about
great.
what a couple of your favorite sci-fi movies are when we do end our program with that. So, Bert, what are we looking at here?
Well, this was just prior to the launch of New Glenn. So I had gone out to Jetty Park to try to get a picture of it during the afternoon because, I wanted to see the actual rocket. As you went out for the launch, it was obviously hard to see it at night. So this gives you a good glimpse of SLC 36 at Cape Canaveral, and you can see the Cape Canaveral lighthouse there, which is just about 1.5 miles away from the actual launch pad. So it was a beautiful day. And
That's awesome. That's from Jetty Park?
That's from Jetty Park.
Holy smokes, you're close.
Well, I used a
telephoto lens gives you
lens.
that's probably 300 millimeter lens or
Yes,
something.
a 300 millimeter.
But you can see this from the beach. I'm a beach person at Cape Canaveral all the time, and you can see those towers plain as day, the water tower,
Yep.
and then the tiny little lighthouse. It's that 75 years ago witnessed the first rocket launch in
Yes.
July. That's the anniversary of Bumper
Oh, right.
out there.
Right.
You'll be hearing Jamie talk about that and the Cape Canaveral people. Jamie Draper, the director out there,
Yes.
they'll be doing some things.
No, absolutely.
And,
it was a beautiful day.
The rocket is hidden behind what we
There-
call the strong back.
The strong back, or their erector. I'm not sure that they don't use the same terminology that that SpaceX used. But again, it's horizontally integrated rocket, not like the vehicle assembly building. And so they roll it out there, and it's in a hangar, and then it's moved out on a transport and then raised up, just like SpaceX does with its rockets.
Well, Cliff Watson in Pomona, Australia is already at Hump Day there, Wednesday,
Okay, sounds
up
good.
there on the Gold Coast of Eastern Australia. They've had some bad weather. And thank you, Steve. There got your other note, and he says you can see it from the Riki Tiki Tavern on
Oh,
Cocoa Beach Pier. You certainly can in there. And Cliff remembers meeting you at Shuttle Fest
yes,
in there.
sounds
So,
great. Look forward to hopefully see him again.
and thanks for your financial contributions, Cliff. All the way across the continent over there, at the bottom of the world there. He's just starting to break into getting out of summer. It's fall.
Yes.
They're looking to have fall here pretty soon.
I made 2 trips to Australia.
You did?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us about those real quick.
They were both for the job, but I'd spend some extra time there. The first time was for when I worked for American Society of Mechanical Engineers, and we were meeting with some local members, talking about how they can impact and help mechanical engineers advance. And then the second time I went with IEEE, and that was a big.
Which is
IEEE is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers,
okay.
and they had it was a leadership seminar there.
Really, electrical, electronic engineers.
Electrical,
They got to have it in there twice.
Electrical and electronic. That
And
is correct. IEEE. They like to say IEEE, or some people go IEEE. But that's funny. But they had people coming from all over the world at that conference, because IEEE has members in about 170 countries.
Wow.
So it was a really
Your
great
assessment of Australia there.
session. I love Australia.
Okay.
Go back in a second.
All right.
It's a long trip.
Yeah.
Flew into Sydney both times, and also made it down to Melbourne to see there's an air museum there that I wanted to see. So I had a great time.
Cliffy, you come back, you'll have more to talk about. He says a cyclone's on the way, and yep, he wants to come back. And Dave Stangy's joined on, saying hello, Burt, Mark, and
Dave.
Marty. And enough kibitz in there, but we enjoy talking to our guests and having you know our personalities a little better is very important to the fellowship we're building here. So welcome aboard. Shuttle Fest 4 is, I've got bags under my eyes. I'm going to keep them there because I got the hammer down now with all the details. So I'm not nuts. We're 5 weeks out. We're in good shape. But what a lineup we've got. Chris Calley, artist, is going to be there. Mike Leinbach, Jay Honeycutt, author Jonathan Ward, photographers Tom and Mark Usiak, Dave Chudwin's a popular.
Dave Chudwin's coming.
Yeah, he's going to bring his
good.
book. Dave's a popular
Yeah.
space hipster out there with 2 books about Emily Carney, and possibly Bruce McCandless will be here autographing their book. And Master of Ceremonies is going to be Nick Thomas of
great.
Space
Yep.
Center. You're going to have a role and stuff. $90. And
we want to see
can't
you
be
there.
beat. That's right.
I've been to the last 2. They are amazing.
Yeah, Marty.
You may want to mention it's not Bruce McCandless, the astronaut.
It's Bruce McCandless, his son,
His son,
Junior.
yeah.
Yes, I would. I didn't think I had to, Marty. They know we got some pretty intelligent people out there. Yes, Bruce McCandless, number 1, has long been gone, but his son, number 2, and Emily wrote a great book together.
Yeah,
so we got real
great book.
That's why you got your inspiration for your.
My inspiration for this list that we're going to discuss today, because they have in their book, which is it's a great sequence of history, but they also have lists, their top 11, and so I thought, hey, maybe it might be interesting to just look at the top 11, the top movies, sci-fi space movies, because they did a list of music, for example, the best playlist. Very interesting. So
Well, check that out.
Yes.
Book Starbound. There you
Yeah.
go, Emily. We're
it's a great book.
That's right. And thank you, Winston Scott and Malcolm Denmark, for taking this picture of us together
yes.
during getting ready for Stay Curious yesterday with Gabriel Rothblatt, our executive director. If you didn't catch that show, what a laid back. He's laid back just like that. For an hour.
Great guy.
Marty, what a nice questions from you all out there. Wonderful answers from Winston. And I think he, like me, found this to be the most relaxing hour of his day. Really,
Oh, good.
is when we're doing this. So
Yes.
thank you all for watching. Go back and watch it if you hadn't.
Yeah, when we
on our
did the
YouTube
last
channel.
year, we did that big party for IM1, Intuitive Machines 1,
Yes.
Odysseus, and we had a big party at the Hilton, and Winston came.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yes, he's one of the hardworking astronauts out there. He recruits all the astronauts that we see out of Kennedy Space Center, and here's today's astronaut du jour, Tom Jones, and 3 of his fabulous books there. Asking Astronauts behind you there. Skywalking was a big hit, and his space shuttles book
it's a great
that
book.
we all carry
Yes.
around with us. Marty, have you gotten every page autographed yet, Marty? By an astronaut, I know you're getting it filled up, but tell people what that book's about if they haven't bought it.
Well, it covers every space shuttle mission, and he has blurb on the mission and either at least one of the astronauts, if not 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
It's an excellent book.
yeah,
It's laid out so well to get autographs in the book.
That is a really great idea. I might do
yeah.
that.
And some are stories you can't believe from
Yeah.
one astronaut,
Yeah.
and it might not be like the commander or the star astronaut
Right.
on board, but wonderful man. He does so much for outreach. Lives in the Baltimore, Maryland area. Skywalking is another classic of astronaut books. He and Jernigan were going to go out for a spacewalk, and the door wouldn't open.
Right.
And can you imagine training for this spacewalk? And there's a washer, it was Marty, that dropped in there, couldn't get the door open.
I think it's a bolt.
Tamara Jernigan, a bolt.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have to scrub because of that. Oh, that's some of the wrap my head around being an astronaut. I would just be so hold that was
that was
for
the
a long
door for
time.
that was the door for the airlock.
Yeah,
Okay.
to go out. They were
Yeah.
all ready to open up the airlock and do a
Right.
spacewalk on
Wow.
one of his 4 or 5 missions there, and it wouldn't open, and because of a bolt that was stuck in the place.
Just shows you the
And you
little
had to-
things.
Yeah, and you had to scrub all of that training, all of that what they wanted to do. He's a really interesting man. Hit him up about Shuttle Fest 5. He's interested in that, and so it goes. We're building bridges to people that you want to see at this Shuttle Fest conference down the road. So Dave
Great.
Stengy got a Christmas gift membership to NSS.
Oh,
All right.
Right.
Did you
okay.
get your candy cane that came with it too? Or
A space
All right.
cane.
I'm turning it over to you, my friend.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to do a couple things for NSS first, because we've got Shuttlefest coming up. We also have a really big event coming up in June, June 19th to 22nd. It's the International Space Development Conference, or ISDC. This is our annual conference that gets more than 1,000 people to attend. This is the 43rd annual event. We've got a great lineup. It's going to be at the Rosen Center in Orlando. You can see Jared Isaacman, Cyan Proctor, and Martine Rothblatt as well, and Hoot Gibson, Susan Kilrain, and a number of other space leaders. We've got about 18 different tracks or sessions. Mark and I are actually co-chairing a session on space history.
We are.
That we are, yes. Don't you remember?
Oh, okay. I'll search that email.
Yeah, search that email. That will be on the Sunday afternoon. And if you go to the next slide, I want to see if anyone can help me, because we are actually doing for the first time what's called the Rising Stars. This is a session for college students and early career engineers. We wanted to be able to showcase the work they're doing so they can help build up their own portfolios. So these are presentation only sessions. It'll be about 15 minutes each. This one is going to be on the Friday afternoon, 2 to 6. We've got 16 slots. We're accepting abstracts now for selection. And we've got a great lineup, I believe, so far. But the whole idea here, it's not just the technical that we're looking for. Space exploration, space settlement is not just about science and engineering. It's about law, business, medicine, health, food. So we are looking for other topics as well, not just the technical ones. So I'm asking our viewers out there, if you know a college student, they don't have to be an engineering or science major, that might be interested in presenting. We'd love to have them. Please spread the word. You can reach out to me. I've got the QR code on there, or just go to isdc.nss.org, and you can go and look at the whole program and reach again, you can find out on the history track if you like, or the collegiate track, or Rising Stars. So we're really trying to spread the word right now. The deadline to get the abstracts in is the 21st of March.
Okay.
And it's a very simple process. And then we'll work and get everyone notified. And I think within the next 2 weeks, so they can start making their plans to attend. And students can attend for about $70. So it's a real special
Get
rate.
that QR code, freeze
Yep.
that and go back to it. Yeah, awesome. 48 years since 1977. We've been actually having symposiums about not just going to the moon,
Right.
but creating a civilization off of the earth, right?
Absolutely. No, there's so many aspects that we don't think about. And so many people are doing some great work out there. And by attending the ISDC, you're going to be able to see that. And then with these students or early career engineers, these are the future. They're the ones who are going to get us to Mars and beyond. So it'd be great to hear what ideas they have. They might be working on something as a school project. They might be working on something that's a capstone. They might be working on something that is just something they're interested in. So we hope that we can get a great group of students. And again, this is something that they can use on their resume. I've talked to a lot of recruiters, and they say, what are you looking for from a student when you're hiring an entry level? They know there are a lot of smart students out there, but they're looking for the things that help students stand out. And making a presentation at a big conference is one example of that.
Terrific. Marty's got a comment on that UCAC family microphone.
And speaking of UCACs, Mark UCAC, excuse me, or maybe Alex Palomini might be interested. He works for ULA now.
Alex Palomini. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
We know Alex.
Well, maybe we can reach out. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. Yes.
Yeah, think about that. Mark's got somebody in mind. You may have somebody in mind.
Yeah.
Get a hold of Burt through this. That's great program.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
anxious. I'm looking forward to being at this. It's massive. Couple thousand people.
About 1,200 people.
1,200
typically.
people.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's a big
We're
conference.
hoping it's even bigger this time around.
And
Yes.
and Gabriel Rothblatt, my partner here, he is the chairman of the whole thing.
Yes, he is.
And,
That is right.
So so we're
So we'll have some vendors there, exhibits.
Tom Stellantano's going to be
yeah.
there from Connecticut.
Oh,
so
great.
Well, we love having you on because,
Okay.
like I said, you're right there on the campus of Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. Your office. You go well connected in the media. You go to things that other people can't go to or wish they could go to.
Right.
So,
right.
what's Burt been up to?
Well, remember I was here on the 14th of January,
Okay.
and that was a pretty busy week, if you recall. There was the launch first of the Blue Ghost, Firefly's Aerospace's Moonlander.
What's this one here?
Which is that is the launch
Okay.
right there that occurred that evening after I was here. And of course that took Blue Ghost and also iSpace's Resilience lander, which should be landing shortly. I think sometime in May is when it's scheduled.
Okay.
But we all, you saw that Blue Ghost landed on Sunday.
Intuitive Machines is Thursday.
And they're Thursday. So this was the launch back on the 14th of January.
Nice picture when
yeah.
you're on the Space Force
Yeah,
property there.
no, this is from 39A. So
But you are standing.
I'm at the media center here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I
For
am.
you shutterbugs that been there,
Yeah.
wondering where you're
Yeah,
right
so
there.
so-
There's our beautiful
yep. and
green
so,
screen there.
so of course that same week was the first launch of New Glenn. So as I
John
said,
Borelli's watching in Limestone, New York. John's seen this view
yeah,
because he goes out there to Jetty Park.
and so that was the launch of New Glenn. That was actually taken. They didn't have anybody on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. So Blue Origin set up a spot at the Hilton Garden Inn on Cocoa Beach. So that's where we viewed it from. So it's a direct line of sight to SLC 36. So I guess about 8 miles away, something in that range is how far we were. So that's
Keep
that
in
view.
mind, look at this. All right, there's the night shot.
Yeah.
All right, of that. So the right where my head's at's where the
Oh,
tower is.
Yeah, you can see where the tower is. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
the
The water tower.
water tower
Yeah.
is there. You see
was-
above my head's where the lighthouse
It was
is.
beautiful. I mean, it was. It's a great. It's
How'd
a
it
great,
feel? What was the noise
It
like?
was pretty good. I mean, I understand that from what I heard because its proximity to so many things at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, they did have some windows get damaged. That type of thing I heard.
Yeah, they did at
yeah,
Hangar
yeah.
C.
Yeah, that's right.
Over
Hangar
there by
C.
the
Yeah.
lighthouse itself there.
So I don't know whether they'll make any adjustments with their sound suppression, that type of thing.
Okay.
But very spectacular. It was just exciting to be there for our first
Not
launch.
bad.
Yeah. So of course everybody knows the vehicle assembly building, and last week had an opportunity to go inside, and we were to be able to view the Artemis II, the core stage, and the solid rocket boosters in their stands.
Now you're going to show your artistic chops here with the camera. Really,
Yeah.
there's some beautiful.
So it's always
abstract
cool.
art in a way.
I hadn't been in the VAB in a long time. Remember, I interned here back in the summer of '80 and spent a lot of time in the VAB. So the first time in a long time. That is you're in the transfer
Like
aisle.
20 years, long time.
I was on a tour, a VIP tour, probably when I was working for ASME. So I would say probably at least 20 years. And I interned in the summer of 1980, so 45 years.
So this is real special.
It was special to be back inside, and that's the transfer aisle. That is looking up at the ceiling.
Ooh.
So the high bays are on the side. So remember, the VAB is the largest single-story building in the world. So it's a single story. They have
So that's
levels.
looking all the way up at the ceiling.
That's looking up at the ceiling.
Marty,
and you see the
you
crane.
getting dizzy? No.
And you can see the crane. So that is actually the core stage for Artemis 2, and that is in High Bay 2 right now. And what they're going to be doing is they stacked it last month, and they're going to be getting ready to actually mate it to the solid rocket boosters. Hopefully later this month. So you can see it. It's hard to see it. We were first on level 5, and that's where that picture is taken. And then we went up to level 16 to try to get a better view. So you can see it's all surrounded by the platforms. But really cool to see it. That's a rocket that's going to the moon. Another view
Well,
of
the
it.
fuel tank for a rocket is going to the moon.
That is true, but you're absolutely right. It's the fuel tank, right? So, but that's the destination, right?
Yeah, that's.
So that's the actual top of it right
Oh,
there.
wow,
Yeah.
nice. So
Yeah.
Orion to be mated to the top of it.
Yeah, the
apparently.
second stage and Orion.
seconds, yeah.
And Orion will be mated on top of that. So I don't think that'll happen about a month after, I believe, once they made it to the solid rocket boosters. So then we went over, to look at High Bay. Oh, I should say this is in High Bay 4. So what they have there, they have dummy stages of the solid rocket boosters. And what they're doing is they use those to just test the crews that are handling the crane that stacks them. So remember, what's in there is incredibly dangerous, what's in the solid rocket boosters. So they want to learn how to move them around with the crane, with the dummy stages, before they actually do the actual SRBs. So it is interesting. When I worked there back in summer of '80, we had to stop at the guard gate, and we had to turn our badges in and get one of the VAB badges, because like in the mines, they needed to know who was inside, because they were worried the SRB was something happened. Once an SRB ignites, there's no way to stop it. So we had to do that. Was an interesting process they had. I asked about that today, and they don't do that anymore. They only really limit the access when they are doing something that could be potentially hazardous. So, but for most part, you don't have to give up, your badges when you go in. So very interesting.
Marty's got a question.
Yeah, Michael Bruno is asking, is the VAB actually heated inside in the winter?
That is a good. They don't have an air conditioning system. They do have a system that ventilates to prevent the humidity from building up. But I am not aware that they have a heating or air conditioning system itself. And I'll one of the things I'll talk about when we get to another picture is a study that I did when I interned. So you'll see that. But they do something to control the humidity.
Okay,
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah, in the low bay, there's an office, I'll say an office complex in the low bay, with offices, obviously.
Yep.
And that is heated and air conditioned.
Okay.
That's definitely the low bay.
And Mark. Okay. Mark Thel was commenting about that, I think. And then, anyway, thank you for all chiming in on there
Great.
today.
Yeah.
We're still, you got still some cool pictures here that your VAB tour
Yep.
or walk around.
So again, that's one of the dummy stages for the SRBs that they use.
Okay.
And the next slide as well does that as well. So interesting because you have to actually practice using that crane. They've got a 325-ton crane and a 250-ton crane. So they're at the ceiling. So can you imagine crawling into the control booth of those cranes at the very top?
Yeah, Dan McCune, our
Yeah.
facilities manager, is one of those guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is
There's a nice.
that's
RC
the
shop.
door. Those are the doors of High Bay 4. So I wanted to take that picture because, as I mentioned, when I interned here back in the summer of '80, they wanted to do an airflow study to determine the best configuration of doors to create the best airflow, best chimney effect through the VAB. So we actually had all of the doors, this is summertime, we actually had all of the doors closed during the day to build up the heat inside. And then, I had done calculations to try to figure out which door configuration would be best. And then with one of the engineers who is heading the project, I rode with him on one of the doors. You can probably see there's a little walkway at the top of each door. And we were harnessed in, and we had the airflow equipment to measure the airflow as we opened the different door sets. So I want to take a picture of that. I still can't believe I did that.
That's neat. That's neat.
So a little disconcerting. I'm not that necessarily afraid of heights, but that was challenging.
Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question from Mark Bell, but before that, those are great pictures, Burt, but it doesn't do justice to the actual size and height and the volume. It just doesn't do it justice.
Absolutely. It's 525 feet tall, and because there's outside, certainly because the only thing you see is the LCC, there aren't any other buildings to give you some perspective about how big things are. So you're absolutely right. And you're inside and you're like, wow, this place is big. So this was actually on.
He's got a question.
Oh, another question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Bell is
Jumping ahead
asking,
there.
Yep.
I had read somewhere that the crane crews for the Saturn V had to be able to lower a heavy weight onto an egg without cracking it. Have you heard anything about that?
I've never heard that one. That's interesting.
Well, yes, we know. We've heard lots
heard
of
that?
stories.
Yes.
Mark,
Yeah.
our go ahead, Marty. Our building facilities manager,
You can answer.
Dan McCune, a crane operator for many years up there. They could do the egg, but really what the test was that you had to pass was lowering it on a paint can and making the paint can spray. Paint
Oh
spray
wow,
can
just the
on
right
nozzle,
pressure.
and the right pressure
Yeah.
to spray. And they would hold something out there
Right.
for it to spray on.
Wow.
And
That's
was
skill.
yeah.
That is skill.
And it's quite a thing on there, but it's very technical. But yes, I think he did tell me the egg thing too
Well, interesting.
was done there.
Yeah, no, it's a very impressive operation what the ground exploration team does to get to process these rockets and and mate them.
Yeah, it's the same. The
yeah.
shuttle and crane crew operators and
Yeah.
the shuttle and the Saturn V are
Yeah.
all trained the same way. But that was a big deal. A paint can, aerosol can, and they had to spray something on a.
I would have loved to be in there when they
And they
lifted
can't
one of
see
these
it.
up.
They don't see it.
Yeah,
See?
no.
They're it's all back then they didn't have video cameras and stuff like that like they do today either.
Yeah,
Right.
they have like a spider down, a spotter, I should say.
Oh, I'm sure a
Yeah.
spotter.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, spot with on walkie-talkies,
Yes.
standing up there
Yeah.
talking to you
Yeah.
as you're looking down, and they're telling you, yeah, just a little bit, another quarter of an inch to the left, let it down,
Probably,
let it down.
yeah.
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 Well, I gotta get Dan on again. He's
Very
been on
impressive,
once
very
before,
impressive.
but we've got to have Dan on. Yes, Dave, he was on years ago,
Great.
and he's one of those busy guys, but also, we'll get him in here. All right.
Okay.
Show a few more
So
VAB
yeah, this
pictures.
is just looking across at High Bay 3, where the SRBs are stacked. So that's part of the platforms that will eventually have the entire Artemis 2 SLS rocket. So you can see the NASA logos on each side.
That's cool.
Yeah, hard to see. It
That's
was hard
cool.
to see them, and there's at the very top. So I took this picture from level 16.
That's neat. I like the lighting on that. You can get a dimension. I'm just looking for a person or two.
I
Is
took
that a person right there? No.
I took some pictures, but they didn't want us to show people.
Okay.
And that is actually looking up, because there you're going to see that's where the core stage will be fitting in, so you can see how the platforms come together. So they separate, and then they'll reclose them around the rocket, and then that's where the workers will be actually making sure that everything is correct with the rocket itself. Fascinating. Yeah.
And then there's the tribute.
Tribute to the shuttle, all those people signing it on the wall there. A lot of history in there, obviously.
Hold your right hand up.
Okay.
A little bit more to out. That's
Which
where
way?
Marty is. No,
Oh,
about
right
right in. Marty says he's about right there.
Oh, right there. Okay.
That's it.
Oh, so where his
He's
signature
signing,
is.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Fabulous.
There he is. He's putting.
He's
right
going to put
in
a
there.
circle there. Okay. I thought that was really cool just to see
Yeah, I've
that.
seen pictures of that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And
Very-
that's still there, folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fabulous. A lot of,
Several thousand shuttle workers there.
all the,
But they have a scaffolding. They scaffold Marty, and they kept moving it down, or
Yeah.
or all the tall people signed at the top, and you're at the.
There's nobody that tall that can sign it.
Yeah.
it is up pretty high. There's no scale to that.
Giants and dwarves,
Yeah, there's no scale to that. Yeah, yeah,
or dwarves.
yeah.
Good question.
Okay, so
We'll interject the question here.
Okay.
Marty's got another one.
Yep.
Hey, Bob Slatter is asking, hi Burt and Mark, will you support the effort to make a new holiday to celebrate the Apollo 11 landing? What do you think? I think, Mark, you talked about that several times.
Yes. Yeah, Bob Slater, thank you.
Yep.
Mitch Rothman, I think you're part of Bob's part of Mitch's group is actually going to Congress and try to make July 20th a Moon Day.
yes,
You've talked to Mitch about that.
I
but,
actually Bob had called me a couple times over the weekend, and I actually connected with him today to get a
Okay.
better idea of what they were talking about. So I'm going to actually raise the issue with our policy committee.
Okay.
And see what efforts we have. But I also offered the opportunity that we could probably post something on our blog about this effort. I don't know whether it be at this point appropriate for an article at Astra, but there could be some things we do to promote this. And I was actually telling Bob that I think it's a great idea. Obviously, it's very challenging with this current administration, which doesn't really have, I won't say, their feelings toward federal workers. And, when you have another national holiday, but the public just doesn't understand what happened. And I had been to I was telling Bob and
Happened about the moon landing.
yeah, about the moon landings. I had been to an engineering summer camp that I attended and actually was a speaker back in 2019, the 50th anniversary. And these were high school students who were all interested in engineering careers. And I said to them, something amazing happened 50 years ago this week that defined my life. And I had prizes. Does anybody know what happened? Not one student.
You saw Star Wars at
Yeah,
the theater.
not one student could say Apollo 11 landed on the moon. I was in total shock. So I think it's an important effort, and I'm going to take it to our NSS leadership to see what we can do about it.
Well, it's yes, it's a day for humanity, Bob.
Yeah.
The American here at the American Space Museum, where I sit, 15 feet away from the handprints of Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong
Yeah.
in bronze. You bet we're going to support this. It's easy to say, and it's worthy, but the repercussions of it on a federal level that's another paid day.
It's a challenge.
You have to
Yeah.
shut down and lose money in government places that are taking in money, and so. But we've there's things have been changed over my life. There's no
Yeah.
more. We had Lincoln's and Washington's birthday were separate holidays.
Then they combine
And now
them.
they combine.
Yeah,
And the only person we celebrate is Martin Luther King,
and that took a while.
and then so
Yeah.
forth. And glad we did that.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. So we'll see what we can do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get in there. We got a question in there from Woodstock. Somebody telling me?
Yeah, I think it's Tom Usiak. He's asking, when you asked your question, Bert, did anybody say Woodstock?
No, no one said Woodstock.
Oh,
Good question.
That's right. It was the same. That's right. That's right.
yeah.
No one knew. Yeah, no one knew.
But no, thank you, Bob, and we'll be in touch with you. Mitch Rothman and I were talking about that last night, my good buddy. And so, and he says it could be a commemorative holiday without government time off.
It could be something like that. Yes.
No, I anything to recognize it, like Valentine's Day or
It could be. Yeah.
or St. Patrick's
Yeah.
Day.
It could be something
see?
exactly like that.
Something that we
Yeah.
think about like that. So,
Columbus Day.
or Mother's Day. There you go. That's great thinking there, Steve. So anyway,
Great.
thank you for those questions there. We got the most intelligent group of people watching any podcast anywhere. We really do. And we got a couple more current events here, and then we're going to get Bert's take on some of his favorite
Yeah,
sci-fi
sounds
movies
good. Sounds
to
good.
get you in a mood to go to Hump Day tomorrow.
Absolutely. So, last week, of course, IM2 launched. Intuitive Machines Athena going to the moon. So this is a shot. Probably it was about an hour or so before launch. So it actually occurred at 7:16. So it was dark by then. So you can see the colors are interesting with the sunlight at that time. So again, this is from the media site. And
Beautiful.
yeah, and there's the launch. Perfect launch. Beautiful weather that day. Yeah, and there is Athena is currently in lunar orbit, and they are scheduled to land at 12:32 p.m. Thursday.
Oh, in the afternoon, so
Yeah.
we can watch it for lunch.
Yeah,
hour.
I
All
did
right.
get up. I don't know about any of you, but I was up for Firefly Blue Ghost.
Yeah.
I set my alarm for 3:15 a.m. and it
I
landed at
forgot
3:30.
about
It landed
it.
at 3:34.
Yeah.
So keeping fingers
Did they have a
crossed.
live?
They had a
video going
live. They
on?
had a live. No, they didn't have a
Feed?
live feed of the landing itself.
We're gonna talk
but
about
they
that in a
had.
second
They
here.
were in mission control, so they're tracking all the data, and they actually showed this this image that showed the landing pads. So when that lit up, it had actually
I
touched
gotcha,
down. So they
yeah.
knew it touched down.
Copying the blue.
Yeah.
The blue light, Marty,
Yeah.
of the Grumman.
And then the
Grumman
men-
blue light that
yeah,
came
then
on
the
when his
flight director confirmed
Feelers.
it landed. It took them about 40 minutes before they got the first image.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So
Well, we're talking. This one's orbiting right now.
this one is in
Don't
orbit
get
right now.
confused. This is
Yeah.
Intuitive Machines that landed last year and tipped over the wrong way, but it still had communications and so forth for a time. Marty, I still don't think those legs are spread out far enough.
What I spoke
but,
to Trent.
we'll see.
I spoke to Trent Martin, who is the senior VP of space operations for Intuitive Machines.
Uh-huh.
So after last year, they said that they had identified 85 issues that they wanted to correct before the next mission. He said, now it doesn't matter how mature a spacecraft is, you learn something on every mission.
Yeah.
So here they wanted to learn. There were about 10 items of those 85 that they really thought were incredibly critical. And then 2 of those 10 were related to the tip over.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken care of all of those items.
Yeah.
As they prep for the second landing.
As they would. That's
Yeah.
why they do it.
That's
there.
what you do.
That's
Yeah.
what you do in
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
they're
So this was actually an image from Blue Ghost
okay.
as it was orbiting the moon. I just think it's amazing that these spacecraft are there.
Well, I look at the moon
Yeah.
frequently through
Yeah.
telescope
Yes.
and make sketches and photos, and then there's the part of the bus, they call it.
Yep.
The
So-
vehicle.
So if anyone wants to go, they can go to Firefly's website, and they've got a gallery of all these images.
Oh, they do, but
Yeah.
on the moon, they don't have them on the. I looked
Yes,
before
they
the
do.
show to
Yeah,
try
keep
to-
going. Yeah, here's
That's the only one now.
they have one more from this morning, which is the sunrise. Yeah.
That's
So,
looking in the other direction.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's so they'll be there again 2 weeks.
This is in a very noticeable part of the moon called MarQ, and stay curious tomorrow. I'll show you where is
great.
in a photograph I've taken.
Oh, fabulous.
It is when you look at the moon crescent tonight. In the upper right-hand corner is an oval, a dark oval C. That is
Okay.
MarQ,
Okay.
and it's at the it's in the top part of that up there. But
Great.
that's looking in the opposite direction from here.
Yeah, looking
That's
back
why
at
the
Earth.
shadow's
Yeah.
very long
Yeah.
on there, and that is the Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so the shadow will get shorter. It's got a drill to go down 9 feet. I
And
understand.
it does, and it has what's called, it's really going to be interesting as they do that. But the Intuitive Machines has something called a hopper
Yes.
that's going to be moving around away from the spacecraft as it lands to look at different areas. So I just think it's amazing that they're doing all
well.
these,
You,
all these things.
I believe you've met Chris Stott,
Oh, yes.
husband of
yes.
Nicole Stott,
Yes.
and he's got a business. It's called Lone Star that has a hard drive attached to it with a
Right.
server.
Right.
And when they landed last time, the hard drive on the moon sent the U.S. Constitution to Chris's launch control in St.
Oh,
Petersburg, Florida,
okay.
and he sent the Bill of Rights
Back.
back to the moon
Okay.
to establish the first data storage on another world.
Fabulous.
And he wants to make a business out of that. This is Chris Stott, astronaut Nicole Stott's brilliant husband, and we wish him well for this
Oh,
test.
absolutely.
on it.
No, I
It's all about storing your family photos on the moon. Why would you want to do that? Well, if the solar flare that wipes out the data on the Earth doesn't hit the moon, then you've still got your pictures left.
one of the persons I did talk to also last week before the launch was NASA's chief technologist, and he talked about the CLIPS program, which of course NASA is funding a lot of these projects, and what they're trying to do is tipping technology. They're trying to fund technologies that will help move us forward, that could be applied other places as we look to go back to the moon. So it's really exciting to see Firefly, Intuitive Machines, Astrobotic, we hope will be back, and iSpace is going. They don't have any government payloads on that one, but it's all about opening up this lunar economy. So it's really exciting.
It is an exciting time to be around here. Burt, you share the enthusiasm so well. Thank you so much for looking around there. I see from our comments there is another national federal holiday that's after a person. Neil 1030. Neil 1030 pointed out there that would be Christmas, Jesus Christ born.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
so that's the reason for the season for sure, Neil. Thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely.
Well, before we get into the movies, Michael
Yes.
Bruno likes The Martian, and you and I didn't pick The Martian.
Didn't pick the Martian.
There's a lot of Mars movies. There's
Yeah.
the one with Val Kilmer's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And there's another one with We'll name a couple Mars movies. I can't tell you the title because they're also similar.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Mars
think of some of the
Journey.
names. Yeah.
But the Val Kilmer one was cool. There's a couple come out right at a time. How about Mars Attacks?
Mars Attacks is a great movie. Yes.
I can't. Anytime if I'm clicking around in Mars
That's a
Attacks,
funny
I'm
one.
going to stop there for
Yes.
a while and watch that on there.
But the
So-
whole idea of this is obviously there are so many movies out there. Now, everybody, I didn't list anything from Star Wars or Star Trek. Okay, so
Yeah, we agreed
so-
that was neutral
yeah,
territory.
yeah. So and if you want to hear what my favorites are of those, we can do that at the end.
Yeah.
But I did try
But
to.
I will ask this:
Yes.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
I am both. I think they are two distinct genres. Star Trek is truly about people in space and technology and how that affects humanity. Star Wars is a space opera,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Yeah.
look at them differently.
When I say Star Trek, I
Yeah.
watch my share of them still, and
Yeah.
I'm still blown away 50 years later. The social issues they
It's
attacked
about humanity.
subliminally.
Yeah, yeah,
At a time of great turmoil in America.
absolutely.
They were really Gene Roddenberry and all that, just forerunners of diversity and all that subliminally, I think, to the American people. So
But I think one of the criteria that I chose, Mark, was what movies do I like to see over and over again?
all right, and we'll get to
that's-
Mark Usiak, Mission to Mars with Gary Sinise. That's a
Mission
good
to Mars.
one.
Okay.
Connie McDaniel, good to see Connie back watching and staying curious with us. She says The Martian is the best.
Martian's a good movie. I like it.
It is.
I
It is.
did not pick it though.
But all right, we'll go
Okay.
number one. Not number one.
These are
No random order,
basically these are in order of
Okay.
the most recent going backward.
but okay.
So Hidden Figures, of course, from it was about 2016. Telling the amazing story of these human computers like Katherine Johnson and the role they played in the early days of the space program. But tying that into the discrimination, the racism of the time, the things they had to endure. But ultimately, it is such an inspiring movie.
Mhm.
And I actually took a friend to see this with me, and she didn't know anything about it and left in tears about how inspirational the movie
Oh
was.
wow.
Yeah,
Great
so
tribute.
so I think it's a really great movie, and I've watched it over and over, and so that's the most recent one I've chosen from.
Okay.
From
Now I will say
2016.
this.
Yes.
I think this movie has coined a phrase, hidden figure.
Yes. Yeah.
Marty, I've used it all the time, don't I? Talk about there's another hidden figure here, our guest. So, and
the
just
people we don't know.
like the
Yeah.
right stuff.
Yeah.
The right stuff was not a terminology, and that become you got the right stuff to be an astronaut.
That's right.
Or
Yeah.
then translates into that.
Yeah.
So there's,
Absolutely.
all right.
Yes. Now this one I know is a little bit more controversial with people. Gravity. Oh, you're holding your nose?
Yes,
Yeah.
it stinks.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
a critic.
you're a critic. I know there are critics. I just found it visually exciting.
It was. There's only like 3 or 4 actors in the whole damn movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, her,
Sandra Bullock.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. George Clooney.
George Clooney,
Yeah,
and about 3 other people in the
yeah.
whole movie.
I thought they really tried to recreate what it was like to be in space. I know technically they got a lot of things wrong. I know like Neil deGrasse Tyson is a big critic of it.
You think?
Yeah. But I'm this is my list, everybody.
That's all right. That's
you know,
all right.
So
And other people are chiming in with Mark Thel says, "How about October Sky?"
well, let's wait till I get
All
to
right.
the let's wait till we get to the list.
Julie Clay, welcome Julie to our family here. She loved Hidden Figures. Catherine, a fellow West Virginian.
Right.
All right, Julie's from the Beckley area,
Oh,
those
okay.
beautiful mountain
Okay.
state. And Mark Usiak says Capricorn 1. That's a good choice. And Cliff Watson, he's upside down, down under. He says Interstellar.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think you and I didn't do mine. I added one
Right. Right.
and reinforced one for you here.
Now, we'll tell a story about that is that I worked at the Intrepid, and when Sandra Bullock was doing
Intrepid.
the Intrepid Museum in New York City,
Yeah.
the
There you go.
Sea, Air, and Space Museum, And she actually was doing an interview there that she taped under the Enterprise. And the people at Intrepid said, "Hey, you want to meet Sandra Bullock? You know, we've got her coming." And oh well, yeah, let me. But unfortunately, the timing just didn't align to my work schedule, so I didn't get a chance to do it. But I would have enjoyed that opportunity to talk about the movie with her.
Marty got to see Scarlett Johansson, didn't you?
Oh, as they were filming the movie here, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So you gave an advance slide there. I don't know if many people know about this movie.
I love The Dish.
It's called The Dish, and it takes place. It's fictionalized, but it takes place during Apollo 11 as they're getting ready to do the walk on the moon. And The Dish is located in Parkes, Australia, and based on, of course, the Earth is rotating, the moon is going around the Earth. When they were transmitting the television from the moon, it went through Parkes, Australia first, because Goldstone was on the other side of the world at the time, and then it went back to the television stations to transmit. It is a fun, enjoyable movie. If people haven't seen it, again, I'm telling you, it's fictionalized.
Steve Jokums loves it. Sam O'Neill become quite famous. I did Patrick Warburton there on the left, if you didn't recognize
That's
him.
right. That's right.
Elaine's boyfriend, famously, and
Putty, right?
Putty did a lot of other. He's in a lot of other things in there. But
so
that's
a really feel good movie.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. And someone mentioned October Sky.
There you go.
I think, again, it's just a fabulous movie telling the story of Homer Hickam and trying to escape a mining town's life, but to be inspired by what was happening with Sputnik, and then also to be inspired by a teacher. And these students said, let's start launching some rockets. And of course, led to winning a science competition. And of course, Homer Hickam became a NASA engineer. And just like The Dish, Hidden Figures, you leave this movie feeling really good.
Yeah. Not so much a sci-fi movie. You're melding here.
I'm melding a few space movies.
Space movies
and sci-fi.
For sure.
Yes.
And Cliffy Watson saying Forbidden Planet. Duh. We'll get to that. And so...
give us a little credit. Yep.
Yeah, in there. Now, this one I forget about, actually.
This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Contact.
Yeah.
So Jodie Foster is Dr.
I think Jodie Foster liked doing this movie too.
She's Dr.
Carl
Ellie
Sagan's.
Yeah, Carl Sagan's book Contact. Yeah, the Dr. Ellie Arroway. She's a radio astronomer working for SETI, trying to listen for life from out in space, and they receive this signal, and it has a message. And it tells you the story of how they decide to build this machine that the aliens have sent. And I just think it's an interesting perspective because she is a hard-nosed scientist, and it intersperses faith with that. And there's like one scene where they're building this device, and she's being interviewed by I think it was Bryant Gumbel. And and he's asking, how do you just get in this device and to be transported? What it must take and she says, well, it takes a sense of, and Brian Gumbel says, faith, and she says, no, a sense of adventure. But it ties into the fact that what people believe and so on, and I just think it has an important message for that. So I just love it. Like to watch it every time it's on. I don't know how people feel about it.
Doug Forrest worked on it.
Really?
Our artist in Hollywood down there. Not that they're an analogy, but I one of my recent movies I liked a lot is Arrival.
Arrival, yes.
With the language barriers, and the characters are kind of similar. Yeah. One, the woman in that wanting to. The protagonist who is going to, save everybody. Here's a good one.
Okay, so we all, of course, Apollo 13. How could you not pick Apollo 13? Ron Howard just did. How do you make a movie exciting when you already know the ending?
Yeah.
Right? We know they got back safely, but he was able to make this incredible movie that had a real sense of excitement, and
Yeah.
and we were still on the
It
edge of
was,
our
and
seat.
yeah,
right?
and you knew the outcome, and you
Yeah.
run it, and a lot of
Yeah.
NASA endorses it. It's pretty accurate. But you know Steve Agid, the educator out at the Space Center, don't you?
Right. Yes.
Yeah, he's going to do a Stay Curious about uh, uh, wrong things about Apollo the movie.
Oh,
Apollo
really?
13. Yeah, he
Really?
wants to point out.
Well,
But the set and how they did it is very small set. It's not what you think. A lot of CGI. I've seen some of the production pictures going on.
Yeah.
It's like a cardboard box almost. They
Yeah.
made the spacecraft institute.
and they
out
actually
of and
flew
stuff
on the
like that.
Vomit Comet.
Yeah,
And
did a lot
filled
on that
to get
yeah.
the 0G.
Yeah.
One thing that is interesting, I was at an astronaut scholarship foundation dinner. I sat at the same table with Fred Hayes,
Uh-huh.
and we were talking.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I said, because he was talking about the movie, and I asked a question. I said, why did they make the Grumman guy out to be such a doofus in the movie? He was saying, well, the lunar module is not designed for that. And Gene Kranz would say, I don't care what it's designed for. I want to know what it can do. And we know that Grumman played a really important role in helping to get the astronauts back. But so Fred was saying, well, in every movie you need some drama. So that's where they added some of the drama, that they wanted to make it seem like we weren't sure. And I said, oh, well, I guess that makes sense, because you wondered why they did it so blatantly, I think, right? But an amazing movie.
Got 4 or 5 more movies here for Burt to come
Yeah,
through. We're
yeah.
enjoying a little fun here at the end of our Stay Curious, where we looked around at what's happening in around the moon, basically. It started here on our Space Coast, just 10 miles
Yes.
from us here, sitting here in our Stay Curious studios in Titusville, Florida.
Now this is an actual documentary. I don't know if people are aware of it. It's got the same title, of course, as the TV show from Apple, For All Mankind. And this was a documentary that was made on the 20th anniversary of Apollo 11. Al Reinhardt put this together. He went through hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage, and for all the lunar landings, and put it together in a continuous film, set to beautiful music, and also you hear the astronauts talking. So they got it on YouTube. I think you can find it. If you've never seen For All Mankind, I highly recommend it. Great movie.
Check it out on your service
Yes.
there.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if many people know about this movie.
Huh.
Starman. Jeff Bridges, Karen Allen, made in 1984. And he is an alien whose spacecraft is shot down. Okay. I will add in a funny piece. If you watch the beginning of the movie, the airplane that I helped design, they used some actual footage of us firing a missile off. And they used that as the missile that was shooting down the spacecraft. But the missile they shot off was a Maverick missile. So Maverick's an anti-tank missile. You're not going to shoot the air to air. But probably most people didn't even know that. But he crash lands, and he's moving around and comes across a cabin where Karen Allen is. Her husband had just died, and he's able to turn himself into a replica of him. And it talks about, the basic premise is, of course, there's a SETI scientist, and then there's the government's after. They want to try to get to him before he can get back to his rescue point, which is Meteor Crater in Arizona. It is a really great movie. That if you've never seen Starman, I definitely highly recommend.
Been a long time, but thank you for jogging my memory on that.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
And let's.
Okay. This is a movie. Did I miss Alien? Or, I must have had it in a different order. This is a movie called Moon 02. Okay, made in 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Not familiar with Moon Zero.
yeah, it's like a space western. James Olsen, who is the guy on the left, Catherine Schell is on the right. It's about the moon is kind of an open west for mining, and he's a disgraced astronaut who moves people around on the moon with his transport. And but it's about a millionaire who's trying to wrestle a asteroid to the moon to get the minerals. So I think it's a
That
British.
one again's called
Yeah, I think
What's
it's a
the name
fun
of
movie.
it?
Moon 02.
Moon Zero
Moon
Two.
02. Yeah,
I love campy ones like
it's a
that.
campy movie. It's
Yeah.
definitely a campy movie. Yep. And this is
It must not
Marooned.
have Alien in there.
I
Must
must have missed it.
But you're going to list Alien.
Yeah, I must have missed it somehow. Okay.
But,
Yep.
There's Marooned.
I had put Alien. There's Marooned. I know, again, sort of like Gravity, this is a controversial one with space enthusiasts. But I really enjoyed it, telling the story of Iron Man 1 and being stranded in space. They were on a space station coming back, and the surface propulsion engine did not work. And they're stranded, and there's the debate whether to try to rescue them. The chief astronaut wants them rescued. The head of NASA, David Jansen is the chief
David
astronaut.
Jansen.
Gregory Peck's the head of NASA.
Okay.
And it tells the story of how they mount a rescue mission with David Jansen flying what's called the XRV.
All-star cast.
Yeah.
They weren't talking about this movie of Gene Hackman's when he passed
Gene
away
Hackman was
last week.
Buzz Lloyd, astronaut Buzz Lloyd.
James Francisco.
Yeah, Richard Crenna.
Richard Crenna there.
Yeah.
Great actors in
Yes.
this thing.
And this was written by Martin Caidin,
Yep.
who also, of course, started, the $6 Million Man, Cyborg. Yes.
Right, yeah.
Great.
Good one to check out.
Yeah.
I saw it on one of my services, Roku.
The one thing I will say about it, though, I did try to go back and try to find out, with Apollo, with the surface propulsion engine of the service module, could that have happened on Apollo? Remember, they used hypergolic fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So they used the unsymmetrical dimethyl ethyl hydrazine as the fuel and nitrogen tetroxide as the oxidizer. When you mix hypergols, they ignite. So you don't need an ignition system. So and NASA had a very elaborate backup system, extra fuel lines. It's just about opening the valve and the two ignite. So the best I could see is no system's 100% reliable, but it was very unlikely that could have happened on Apollo.
Well, Marty and I, who can
Yeah.
answer that, and he was in our
Yeah.
museum today. John Tribe, a hypergolics expert for the
right.
lunar command module, was in here. Blessed to see him at lunch tomorrow there. All right, we're coming at the end
Coming
here.
toward the end. Yeah.
Good
So
hour
I know
with
this
Burt
is one.
Dicht
I
here.
know this is one of your favorites, of
Mhm.
course, 2001.
That's not a picture you'd recognize from
Yeah.
it too much. So.
So I like that picture because I love the Pan Am Space Clipper
Yeah.
or Orion 3. And this was clearly a transport to get people from the Earth to space. And it's just a magnificent opening when you're to the Blue Danube as it's
Mhm.
flying toward Space Station 5. Just so many magnificent things about this movie.
Whether you
Visually-
understand it or not,
Yeah.
you can
I-
embrace the exploration.
I watched it again
part
on
of it.
cable. I didn't understand. I saw it at 10 years old. I didn't understand
Oh
it.
no,
at that
you
time.
went to 10 years old.
Yeah, but a fabulous movie.
It's good to revisit movies when you get older.
Yeah.
You pick up things you never saw.
Now this is one probably people don't know, and I'm sorry I missed Alien. I didn't put that into the slide, but there's a movie that's called It: The Terror from Beyond Space. Okay. So this was made, I believe, in 1957. Is it? And let me just see. 1958. It's the story of a second expedition is going to Mars to rescue the first expedition. And on this first expedition, there's only one crew member left. And they kind of suspect him as murdering all the other crew members. He's saying, no, I didn't do that. There was some sort of alien creature or monster. And they don't believe him. They gather him up to take him back to Earth in possible trial. But guess what? The monster from Mars gets on board and slowly starts killing off the crew, kind of like Alien. I mean, Alien got the inspiration from this movie.
Did it?
Yes, and it's to me, I had never seen it and really enjoyed it. Although the crew, I'll give a plot point away. The crew does things you would never do on a spaceship, throwing grenades at this monster. You're not going to throw grenades on a spaceship.
No.
But
The 50s.
the Terror from Beyond Space,
A
definitely
lot of
recommend
good
it.
violence in the 50s.
Yeah,
You had and the greatest sci-fi movie
Oh,
of
and
all
I know people
time.
mentioned Forbidden Planet. What can you say? Robbie the Robot and the Monsters of the Id. A great movie. A great
Yeah.
movie. Visually,
Actors as Leslie Nielsen.
yeah. Walter Pidgeon and Anne Francis.
Anne Francis,
Yeah.
just simply gorgeous in it.
Yes.
And you know, this is a movie that they've tried to remake,
Oh,
but
really?
it just doesn't play out.
Oh, okay.
There's Walter Pidgeon has got the secrets of the Krell
Yes.
nation that
And if those
that-
people interested, the premise is based on the Shakespeare's The Tempest.
yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting
Yeah.
there. Your id, it's all about your id.
Yes. And, of
And then
course,
there's one we talked the other day, and we didn't talk about this
Yeah.
one, the War of the Worlds.
War of the
And I thought,
Worlds.
wait a minute, War of the Worlds as a kid, watching that as 10 years old,
Oh.
once a year on TV
Oh,
or something.
all the time.
Was and at the theater. I probably saw this 10 times in the theater for 50 cents maybe.
Yeah. Oh, again, visually very impressive. And I love how we end up winning.
Now this
defeating them.
spaceship, look at this spaceship and think about it in a second here. But yeah, War of the Worlds, of course, the original with Gene
Barry.
Gene Barry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
And
didn't
Tom,
care for
the Tom Cruise, I didn't mind it. You did?
I thought they misfired on it. Spielberg.
Okay.
I thought Spielberg misfired.
All right.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it was way over dramatic
Yeah.
with his relationship with him and his
Yeah.
daughter in a way,
Yeah.
I think. But
And of course, just by coincidence,
2 thumbs up here from me.
I end with my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
So Michael Rennie, and of
Amazing
course Gort.
actor.
Yeah, of course Gort.
Yeah.
And made in 1951. They get some things wrong, scientifically, but it's such an enjoyable movie. So I'll watch it every time
It
it's
is.
on.
The woman in it, great actress.
Boy, why can't I think of her name either?
Yeah.
I will think of it.
Yeah, in Tennessee, she had Alzheimer's or something and created a foundation
Yeah.
for it. Steve Jokums will tell us who that actress is in The Day the Earth Stood
But I
Still.
know they
I'll
made
bet.
the
Yeah.
remake, and they picked Keanu Reeves as Klaatu, and I thought if anyone's out there, Rafe Fiennes would have been a great Klaatu, right? So, but they what they didn't ask me. But that's my list, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, Dave Stange says HBO's Earth to the Moon and My Favorite Martian TV show on TV. How do you know anything about My Favorite Martian, Dave? You're too young for that.
I love My Favorite
And
Martian.
Carlton talks about the effects of in the Forbidden Planet in 1953. The best year there is out there, 53.
Right.
Yep, I was going to say Pat. Thank you, Steve. Patricia Neal.
Patricia Neal.
Yeah, Patricia
Yes.
Neal. Thank you,
Yes.
Steve. I know you know it. 1967's Countdown. Now,
Oh,
I've been wanting to
Countdown
watch
with
Countdown.
James Caan.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to watch
Yes,
that, and they
yes.
want like $4 for it on
Yeah,
Prime or something
yeah.
like that to watch it on there. Hope you've enjoyed this. I just added one movie actually that to me is just so enjoyable to watch. It's got a lot of different things going on. Here's the characters in it. Okay, that's Mona the monkey, and that's Paul Manty is the astronaut, and that's Friday, and the movie's called Robinson Crusoe on Mars, and Paul Manty crash lands on Mars with another astronaut, Adam West.
Okay.
And
yes.
he dies, and so he's left alone on the moon, almost going to die. And this monkey shows up, and then the Friday shows up, and there's the death ray,
Oh,
much like the War of the
Worlds,
Worlds death
yes.
ray there.
yeah.
That was on there, and that is one of my favorite movies, Robinson Crusoe on Mars, and just 2001, what Stanley Kubrick did in 1970.
68.
68.
Yep.
In 68, folks, they thought this was what the future was going to look like. All right, 2001, we would have colonies on the moon.
Yeah.
Forget all the sci-fi wildness of the monolith that is the big deal about this human species being found on the moon with the monolith there in the lower left-hand corner. But this is 2024. We
Yeah.
ain't there close to
Not
any of
even
this
close.
stuff. We
Yeah.
ain't even close.
Well, remember
to
the
any.
joke about 2001 and Stanley Kubrick being,
2025.
remember he's such a perfectionist, he actually filmed it on location.
Yeah, exactly in there. So,
Yes, you're
well,
right.
I've enjoyed that, Bart. Thanks a lot, Bert. I mean,
Yep.
and got Bart Martindale on my mind. I hadn't seen him in a while. A docent out there at the Space Center. Thank you all so much for watching. Dave Stain said that was fun, going down memory lane. And Steve Jokums likes he saw Robinson Crusoe and Mars in the theaters like Carlton and I did. So thank you, buddy.
My
Marty, we got
pleasure.
anything over there
My
to
pleasure.
button up?
No, other than no one mentioned Space Cowboys. It's
Space
good or bad.
Cowboys is a good movie with Clint
Okay.
Eastwood. Yes.
Space
What about Armageddon?
Yep.
Armageddon?
I don't know. It would be. It's entertaining, right? Armageddon, but
I watched that not
Yeah.
too recently. You got to put that
Yeah.
in there. They had a huge deal at the Space
Yeah.
Center with it and all that. But yeah, Armageddon's another good one. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm really old school. I love these old black
The
and
older
white
ones?
ones, and nobody mentioned Buster Crab and the
yeah.
the
Buck
Zing.
Flash Gordon?
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon, Flash
Yeah.
Ming,
Yeah.
Ming, the horrible creature in there.
And the Clay People?
And what?
The Clay People.
The Clay People.
Yeah, on Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, Flash Gordon. Yeah. Marty's taking us way back in that last century.
Yeah, we're way too young for that,
yeah,
Mark.
in there. So, thank you. Hope you've all enjoyed this. We'll have Burt back next month. Maybe have a picture of him too on Stay Curious on here.
Yep.
And tomorrow we're gonna do probably shuttles of the month and a little bit of backyard stargazing maybe on there, and efforting a couple more guests as we enjoy having that.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to watch, suggest that here on Stay Curious. So thank you, fans and friends, for watching today. And I'm Mark Marquette saying I'll see you tomorrow. To what? Bridge the space between us.